What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 7th Doctor Sylvester McCoy story, Survival. This is the final story from season 26, which is Sylvester McCoy's final season as the Doctor, but it's also the final story of all of classic Doctor Who. This is the end point for classic Doctor Who. Nothing else would come out before Dimensions in Time, but then nothing proper would come out again until the movie in 1996. So this is the last of the actual classic TV series. So it is a very big story. From what I've kind of gathered and heard, fairly split opinions. Some people really love this one. Some people aren't the biggest fan of it. I have seen it before. This is, I think, probably my third viewing of this one now. And I was interested to see what I'd think of this story, because originally when I did watch it the last couple of times, I don't remember being the biggest fan. So I was interested to see, you know, with an open mind and just with kind of analysing it more than I ever would have before, how I would enjoy this final story of the classic series. But anyway, this is Survival by Rona Munro. The Doctor takes Ace back to her hometown of Perryvale, only to find that something is very wrong. Many of Ace's old friends and neighbours have disappeared, whilst domestic pets become victims of unseen killers. Will the hunter become the hunted when only the fittest survive? Very brief little plot synopsis on the back of the DVD there, but it pretty much sums up this story. It's a fairly, I'm not going to say it's a fairly basic story, but it's not the most magically enhanced, crazy, manipulative, story. I don't know if those are the right words, but it's not one of those really big stories. It's definitely not, your run-of-the-mill normal sort of story. It has a bit of complexity to it, but it's definitely nothing too crazy. But yeah, so let's get started on this one with the cast. So the Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy, the 7th Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy, really good. Sylvester McCoy is great in this one. Of course, this is his final proper appearance. Well, it's his final appearance in the classic series anyway, as the Doctor, and yeah, he does a great job. He's got a lot of very funny moments, like when he trips over one of the cheetah people, when he's telling people to stay still, because the cheetah people, they go for people when they're running, because that's just, they want to hunt, and they want to make it a little bit of a challenge for themselves, and a little bit more fun, so they go for people when they run. If you stay still, they're not as likely, they're not going to go for you. People start running around, and he's like, stay still, and he just kind of puts his umbrella out, trips over one of the cheetah people and like tips his hat. I thought that was a pretty funny moment, and just generally a lot of other funny moments in there. Some great moments with the Master. I think his chemistry with Anthony Ainley was very good, and also just a lot of serious moments as well with the Master and just with other characters in general. So yeah, all in all, Sylvester McCoy really good in this story. I really enjoyed him. Sophie Aldred as Ace. Sophie Aldred's great in this. I mean, I like Ace most of the time. Well, pretty much all the time. I haven't really had a story where I haven't liked Ace or Sophie Aldred at all. But in this one especially, she's very good. She takes, honestly, almost center stage in this one. This one is a lot about her. She has a lot of stuff with the Doctor here. She also has some of her friends that she has some connections to and some nice dialogue with. And also, the whole thing where she kind of starts getting taken over by the cheetah people and turning into one of the cheetah people, basically. Yeah, Sophie Aldred does a great job in this. Ace as a character is just really good in this story. Sums up a lot of good stuff with her, and I think she's really good here. I will also mention Anthony Ainley as the Master. This is his last appearance in the series, and yeah, really good. I do quite like Anthony Ainley. It was pretty obvious that it was him, when it was kind of disguising him at in part 1. It was so obvious that it was him. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. To be honest, he doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, he kind of controls the cats and that, and the cheetah people in a way, but he doesn't do a whole lot. He's just kind of there, and he has a basic sort of plot thing going on. But yeah, he's good at what he's doing. So now we'll get onto the good and the bad, starting with the good. The Doctor investigating the cats. So for a lot of part 1, it's the Doctor trying to figure out what's going on. He sees these cats around. He just senses that something isn't right. I love him going into the little shop, buying all the cat food. He has the two shop keepers telling him which cat food to get, and he's like getting piled up with cat food. And then just the way he's just like looking around and being so detective-y, and just, it's a really different side of this Doctor, at least from what I've seen so far, and it's just really interesting to see that sort of thing. Him, in the bushes, some more funny moments. Him when he's like in the bushes in a neighbor's bush, and she's like out the window like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Shh." You know, he's like telling her to shut up because he's trying to track this cat down. It's just another really funny moment. Just some great stuff starting off with the Doctor investigating the cats. The cheetah people costumes look good. I do quite like the cheetah people costumes. I mean, they're kind of basically just furries, but they do look good. They are really, really well sculpted. No, sculpted, that's not the right word. Just well made costumes. They look realistic. I mean, we had a couple of close-up shots, even everything down to the eyes and the mouth and just everything, all the texture and everything. They're really well done costumes. Some of the best costumes in the classic series, I would say, which is really, really good to see. So yeah, I really liked the cheetah people. The Doctor shouting at people to stay still. Mentioned this before, there is this whole scene where, you know, he's telling everybody to stay still because they're less likely to get eaten alive and killed and destroyed. It's just a really funny moment. Even Ace tries to run away and he's like, just stay still. And it's just such funny acting by Sylvester McCoy, just such funny scenes. I mean, it's something that really only works for the 7th Doctor, but it does work for him. And that was just some really cool stuff there. What else have we got? People slowly start turning into the cheetahs and can then teleport to their homeworld. So the whole thing with these cheetah people is that they somehow get into the real world. How they get into the real world in the first place, I'm not 100% sure. Was it kind of revealed that the cheetah people were originally human? You know, is that a thing that kind of was hinted at? Maybe a bit more than hinted at, but I mean, you know, maybe they originally, because when one of the cheetah people dies, she like turns into a human, or at least a more humanoid looking person, which I thought was quite interesting. So I'm guessing they came from Earth or something like that, so they can teleport to Earth, and then they teleport people back to their homeworld, which is this planet where all the cats are and all the cheetah people. So I thought that was interesting. And then when they start kind of getting into people's heads and turning people into these cheetah people, like they do with Ace, you know, she gets like the glowy eyes and everything, and the Master, it happens with him as well, except he can't teleport for some reason. That's one thing I didn't quite understand. I'm not 100% sure if this was explained or not. I don't think it was. You know, he was trying to, the whole thing with the Master, at least at the start, was that he was trying to get someone here so that they could turn into one of these cheetah people, but they were still human. Like he did it with was it, oh, I've forgotten what his name was now. Was it Midge? Was he the one that died? I can't remember. Not died. Well, I think he did die in the end, but the one that got turned first pretty badly and teleported with the Master back to Earth. But I don't understand why the Master couldn't do that, because he also started inheriting this cat thing. You know, he could control them and everything, and he was getting the fangs, the teeth, the eyes and everything. Why couldn't he teleport to, I mean, I guess he'd teleport to Gallifrey. I suppose he probably doesn't want to go to Gallifrey because he's not exactly liked, I don't think, by the Time Lords. But yeah, anyway, that's beside the point. I thought it was quite an interesting concept of this whole teleporting thing, and how they use it with Ace as well is pretty cool. Ace resisting fighting back. So basically, Ace thinks that the Doctor's died. He crashes a bike. Him and Midge, I think it's Midge. Is that the one? I can't remember. They crash bikes into each other and blow up. Midge ends up dying, and they think the Doctor's dead as well, but it turns out he isn't. A little bit of a silly scene, but it was interesting nonetheless. And Ace is resisting because if she starts fighting people and getting too angry, she's just going to start turning into the cheetah people even quicker, and she'll never be able to recover from it. She's trying to fight back, trying to prevent it, and I just think it's really good acting from Sophie Aldred, and just a really cool scene. The Doctor refusing to fight the Master and surviving because of it, the same sort of thing as Ace was doing. You know, he is trying to fight this because if he just keeps fighting and trying to kill the Master and everything, he's not getting any better himself. He's just being the Master then. He's just, you know, feeding off the Master's anger and stuff like that. And also, this world is trying to make him do this. So I think it's interesting that he's like, no, I can't do this. The world is trying to make me do this, but I'm not going to, and I think that's really good. And then finally, the Doctor's Worlds Out There speech. It's a big, big speech, the final ever speech in the classic series, and it's a really good one. You know, there are worlds out there, blah, 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 whatever it goes, you know. Let's go, Ace. That whole speech is really good, and I think it's a great speech to end off the classic era. So on to the bad. There's not a whole lot bad with this one. Like I said, it's not the most out there, amazing kind of plot, and the Master, although he does have a decent amount to do. He does at times feel like he's just kind of there a little bit. The only other bad thing I really had to say though was the Ace just walks up to a wild cat at one point and grabs it. She goes to the playground, there's a cat, she just grabs the cat. Who just goes to a playground, sees a cat just eating on the floor and then just thinks, I'm just gonna go and grab that cat? What? And then she gets like really annoyed that it like runs away from her, jumps out of her arms. You just picked up a wild cat off the floor. I would not go and pick up a wild cat off the floor. I'd probably get attacked. So I just that's just a little thing I noted down because I thought it was a bit silly. And that's basically what ends up being how she gets into the cheetah world. So I just thought that was a bit of a weird thing, how she just grabs a cat off the floor. Apart from those little things though, this is an enjoyable story. I do quite like it. I actually remember enjoying I liked this one better this time than I did on the last couple of times I watched it. I definitely enjoyed it more this time. So for a rating, I'm going to give Survival an 8 out of 10. I did thoroughly enjoy it. It's definitely not perfect. There are issues with it. But I enjoyed it a lot more. I was honestly thinking that I was going to give this a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. But I actually enjoyed it a bit more than that, so yeah, an 8 out of 10 is what I'm going to give Survival. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Go into the description, follow me on Twitter, that would be awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video.